Hello, my name is Dazz, and welcome to Region Lock. When it comes to Japanese games, difficulty is often a subject of contention. At times, games fail to be localized outside of the East due to concerns that Western audiences wouldn't have much interest in brutally hard gameplay. The NES has titles such as Castlevania, which is still considered to be a challenge for many players. One game which released in Japan that follows Castlevania's style, but with the addition of bizarre references to heavy metal music, is titled Holy Diver. Holy Diver was released in 1989 by Irem, a company best known for their arcade games, such as R-Type and possibly their Super Nintendo title Dino City. The game's visuals differ only slightly from that of Castlevania, but rather than using the signature Belmont Whip against adversaries, the player must attack with projectile fireballs. Whilst appearing similar, the weight and control of the game's hero differs. His attacks are quicker and easier to land, and it's possible to move while in mid-air. The game's narrative also takes a relatively dramatic turn from that of vampires, instead taking place in a more fantastical world of magic, with strong inspiration from rock and heavy metal. It isn't at all rare for Japanese developers to name characters after Western music, as is most recognized in franchises such as Mega Man. Thanks to Dia 51, we have a full translation of the game's plot as seen in its instruction manual. When translated, the game's plot is as follows. Resurrected, the legend of the Holy Magic King's Justice. It is the 666th year of the world of magic. The Black Slayer, Demon King of the Underground Dark Empire, has extended the world of darkness and weakened the power of King Crimson, whose kingdom has guided the world of magic for generations. The 16th Crimson Emperor, Ronnie IV, entrusted his two infant sons, Randy and Zack, to his faithful servant Ozzy. The three escaped the forces from another dimension in the hope to bring light back into the world. The next 17 years were difficult, but Randy, Zack, and Ozzy devoted themselves to the cause of holy magic justice. The Black Slayer further extended his empire over the countryside, and the interdimensional forces were even more powerful. Randy needed to find the royal coat of arms of the Crimson to battle the demons. He set out alone to carry out the will of his surrogate father Ozzy, who had passed away. Thus begins the legend of the Holy Magic King's Justice. Several names, such as the Black Slayer, can be seen as references to the bands Black Sabbath and Slayer. King Crimson is also named directly after the band of the same name. Emperor Ronnie is of course named after the late Ronnie James Dio, with the title of the game being the same as his band's debut album. Randy and Zack are named after Randy Rhoads and Zakk Wylde, two members of Ozzy Osbourne's band, and needless to say, Ozzy is of course named after Osbourne himself. The goal of Holy Diver is to reach the end of each stage and defeat a boss, similar to most games of its generation. The game contains a total of 6 stages, with each stage introducing new enemies as progress is made. Items can be obtained within each level to help improve Randy's stats and abilities, such as high jump boots or a block-breaking bracelet. Items to increase your maximum health can also be found, as well as expansions to your magic meter, which will be necessary for the variety of spells obtained over the first 4 stages. These spells affect how the player attacks, or can be used to progress further in a stage. For example, in the second level, lava will prevent the player from getting past a small jump. By using a newly obtained ice spell, it's possible to freeze the lava and stand on it to proceed. This ice can also be destroyed, helping the player to get past any walls of lava that may be streaming down. Spells are selected from the game's pause menu and activated with the select button. When active, the spell is cast with the normal attack button. Making sure to balance the use of magic is pivotal to completing the game. Although it can be used to assist in killing enemies, some mana may need to be held to progress further in the game. To help in killing enemies for the later part of the game, Randy is able to collect an item which will transform him into a dragon. This changes the gameplay from an action platformer to something that plays more like a shoot-'em-up. An international release was hinted at briefly, but it was ultimately dropped. The game was mentioned in the US through Electronic Gaming Monthly's September 1989 issue. There, Holy Diver was shown alongside games that would release soon on the NES. The game's mention was small and gave no more information on its release. No official reason for canning the game's localization has ever been given, but this is a situation that difficult NES games found themselves in. It wouldn't be unusual if the game's difficulty was partly to blame for its lack of localization, as Japanese companies often underestimated Western players. IREM's earlier NES releases mostly consist of Japanese exclusive games, so a possible lack of international networking could also have been to blame. Adding to that, the game's name includes the word holy, and Nintendo's stance on religious material in their games on their consoles was never straightforward. Graphics appear in some stages that show religious symbols, such as crosses, as well as perhaps more controversial imagery like fetuses. It's also possible that the game's liberal use of names from real songs, bands, and musicians caused legal issues. That's all for today, but if you'd like to see more Region Locked, check the link on screen. We'll be streaming Holy Diver on the second DidYouKnowGaming channel at some point, so be sure to join us then. Don't forget to subscribe and have a great day.